Hello lovely humans, my name is Marvin, and if you're anything like me, you should seek therapy. But also, you probably like Nintendo games. Seriously, ever since I got Game Boy Advance SP for, I think, my 7th birthday, I was more or less hooked on the brothers. Like, I personally believe that they make some of the most creative, accessible, and fun video games in the whole industry. I wish they were like that with everything, but of course, according to the internet, you can't be a fan of something without consuming every piece of media about it, so with Nintendo, I'm gonna do just that. Yes, I'm serious. Starting today and for the foreseeable future, I'm going to be playing every Nintendo game ever! Specifically games they published on home and handheld consoles. And I want you to take a wild guess at just how many Nintendo games there are, specifically between the years 1983 and 2024 as of writing this. This number took me several days to research, but I'm going to give you a few seconds to guess. Wrong! No, that's not a typo. That is how many games Nintendo has published at some point in the past 40-ish years. Look, here they all are. I put them all into a spreadsheet. I'm making myself play all of these. Why am I doing this? Well, I do have my reasons. I was mainly inspired by videos where other creators would play every game in a specific series such as One Piece or mainline Pokemon, as well as challenge videos where they would play every game in a sub-series within a certain time frame. I figured I could take something like that to some sort of logical extreme. I also don't think a series like this currently exists on YouTube, except for a series by Smoopshy Bob, but there are going to be some differences to how I handle my own series compared to his. Firstly, he's actually beating every game he plays. No way am I going to do that. Secondly, he's actually going to play every game Nintendo has ever published, whereas I'm going to be setting some rules and limitations on myself that I'll explain in a moment. And thirdly, he's mostly covering each game in their own video, whereas I'll be grouping the games by the year they first released and making a video covering each year. But seriously, good luck to Shmoo for being willing to take this idea further than I'm willing to, cause, again, and because, unlike him, I don't want to be doing this forever, I'm gonna start talking about those ground rules I mentioned earlier for myself and for this series. 1. I will only be playing games published by Nintendo in at least one world territory, whether that be North America, Japan, or PAL regions. 2. I will only be playing games released on Nintendo's home and handheld consoles, so no arcade, computer, or mobile releases, nor games released on systems like the Atari 2600 or Philips CDI. However, 3. I won't be covering the individual Game & Watch LCD games, cause honestly, what am I gonna say about each individual game? Toss-up, juggle balls, flagman, raise the correct number of flag, exterminator, bonk the moles, judge, bonk the person. Like, there really isn't much to say about each one. Maybe I'll eventually do a self-contained video on these if you guys want that. I also won't be covering the Color TV game series because I couldn't find any way of emulating these, if there even is a way, and also, I currently can't afford them. 4. I'll be prioritizing playing North American releases even if Nintendo didn't publish a game in North America. This is just so I can play the game at 60Hz and in English. 5. If I have to play a Japanese release, I'm gonna try and get an English fan translation because otherwise I probably won't know what I'm doing. 6. I won't be playing any Virtual Console or Nintendo Switch Online re-releases of any games I've covered previously. 7. I'll finish playing the game when I've either played for a maximum of 10 hours or feel like I've seen everything the game has to offer, whichever comes first. If I don't do this, I'm pretty sure I'll only finish this series by 2050. And 8. I'm gonna give each game a rating from S to D once I'm done playing them. These ratings will, of course, be based on my opinions and impressions of the games. Yes, my opinions, not yours. Please don't lynch me. I won't be repeating these rules in future videos, but I will leave abbreviated versions of them in the descriptions of those future uploads. I'll also be leaving a Google Docs sheet in the description containing all my references and credits to any English translations I use. So, like I said earlier, I'll be doing each video year by year. So for this video, I think a good place to start is 1983. Oh, I mean, while in North America at least, the video game industry was being buried under a New Mexico landfill, at least over in Japan, Nintendo was doing better. That isn't saying a lot, cause compared to the West, which was at rock bottom, Nintendo was basically at rock middle. I mean, they had some success with the Game & Watch and Donkey Kong, but also failures like Radarscope, which put them in a financial crisis. Thankfully, they were able to find their next big success with the creation of the Family Computer, or Famicom, on July 15th, 1983, the same day that Sega released their own system, the SG-1000. Yeah, Nintendo and Sega's rivalry started even before the Super Nintendo and Genesis. And guess what? Even then, Sega was only able to play second fiddle. I'm sorry to any Sega fans that may be watching this, I'm only saying the facts. So between July 1983 and the end of the year, Nintendo released 9 unique console games for the Famicom. I'll be covering these in alphabetical order rather than by release date because for some reason, I couldn't find specific release dates for certain games that'll show up in later videos. But anyways, let's go already. Alright, first up is...
baseball!
Alright, just gotta pick my team, and I think I'm gonna go with Team R, cause R is a nice letter. Many great words start with R, like... rash. Alright, I think I'm batting first. I'm just gonna assume either the A or B button swings my bat, and I'll just see what happens. Great start. Okay, second attempt. There we go. Let's hit it out of the ballpark. If I somehow lose this game, I'm gonna be very upset. Well, shit, didn't get a single point. Oh well, I'm not gonna let the D's get a single point. D's no. Okay, looks like the little men on the field move automatically, but they won't throw the ball automatically. You have to do that yourself by pressing one of the face buttons. Also, what's the point of the game reading out of speed every time the batter hits the ball? It says it's going 71 miles per hour, but then it only flies like 2 feet. Unless it's the pitcher's throwing speed? Well, I still don't see much of a point in it. Oh yeah, baby! Home run! Yeah, that's right, pixelated crowd. Give me your AOL cheers. Alright, switching teams again. I'm not letting you guys get any more points. Well, come on guys, what are you doing? Get the ball, come on! Again, you can't control these guys, so you're just left in the hands of the baseball gods. Okay, I think the D's are suddenly taking pity on me because they're just not hitting the ball at all. It's different from the rest of the match where they show no mercy whatsoever. Ah, crap. Wait, what are you doing? You're out! Oh, are you okay? Do we need to get in amber lamps?
Nice.
But yeah, the D's kicked my ass for the rest of the game. Look at the final score! I was absolutely slaughtered! And look, I had my fun with this game, trying to figure it out and all, but this is all you can do in this game. You can only do individual matches against a computer or another player, and they all last roughly 20 minutes. I'm not sure why you'd want to play this when there are more modern options with more replayability, so because of that, I think I'm gonna give it a C. Pretty middle of the road, honestly. Alright, next up is Donkey Kong, the game that pulled Nintendo out of the gutter, all thanks to a big monkey. It also has a lot of firsts as well. It's the debut of, like, the most recognizable video game character ever made. It was the pioneer of the platformer genre, and it was one of the earliest video games to insinuate that women need a man to save them. It's also one of the earliest video games to convey a plot through cutscenes. Although this isn't shown in the console version, you just pick a game mode and you're plonked right into the first level. But basically, Big Monkey steals Mario's girl Pauline, and now he has to get her back. And yes, the NES version refers to him as Mario. He is named as such in the manual, and his life counter is represented by an M. So yeah, he's a Mario. It's just in the original arcade version that he's referred to as Jumpman. I accidentally called him Jimpman in the script. I'm keeping that in. Anyway, the game is pretty simple in the modern age. You just get to the top of each of the 3 stages, walking up steel beams, climbing up ladders, grabbing Pauline's stuff along the way. There's things you need to avoid, like barrels thrown by Big Monkey, living fireballs? The ones on stage 3 look like peeps on fire. And also gravity. Yes, this was before it was common knowledge that platformers shouldn't have fall damage, and even a 6-foot drop will kill Mario, making him more fragile than gamers when a woman is moderately dressed. Along the way, you can grab the only power-up in the whole game and one of the most OP items in Smash Bros, the hammer. It'll destroy anything in its path, but makes you unable to jump or climb ladders, so when you grab it, you just kinda have to wait for it to finish. There we go. So, when you finish stage 3, Big Monkey fall down, Mario and Pauline are finally reunited, and it's all very cute. But then it loops you back to the beginning. Yeah, it's a port of an arcade game, alright. You're expected to keep replaying the same stages over and over again, with each loop increasing the difficulty level one at a time. Which in this game involves Big Monkey throwing more shit at you and more enemies spawning in the hopes of trying to get a high score. I should probably go back to the title screen for a moment and explain the game mode since I'm talking about difficulty. There's 2 games. Game A and Game B. Game A starts at what I'll call Difficulty 1. because it's the easiest the game gets, and Game B starts you at difficulty 2. There's also a 2-player mode for both games, which involves one player playing until they die, and then switches to letting the other player play until they die, and so on until you both lose all your lives. It's basically a competition to see who gets the highest score, which I don't see much of a point in when you could just take turns seeing who gets a higher score in the single player modes. But anyway, that's Big Monkey the game. I can see why it was such a big hit back in the day, because even though I wasn't able to get past difficulty 3, I still wanted to keep going and see just how far it could go. But there isn't much to see beyond what you play through on the first loop, and it is super basic. It is one of the first platformers after all, so I think I'm gonna give this game a B. Seems fair to me. Apparently, Big Monkey had a spawn because he's the namesake and protagonist of the next game we're playing, Donkey Kong Jr., or as I like to call him, Little Monkey. I forgot to mention this, but in the last game, Mario was officially designated as a carpenter, and at some point in between games, he made a career change to an animal tamer and captured Big Monkey. And instead of calling the policeman or PETA to deal with him, Little Monkey decides to go rescue his dad himself. But Mario won't let that happen. He's got several different animals to stop Little Monkey, like Chompy Boys, and whatever these things are. That one's having a fit. Okay, stage 1, let's go! Are you okay, Little Monkey? You look way too happy to see me. So here's the dealio. Just like Mario in the last game, Little Monkey can move left and right and jump straight up, to the left, and to the right. I also forgot to mention this for last game, but you can't change your direction in midair. Once you jump, you're as committed to it as a man is to his waifu. One difference from the last game is a change to the climbing mechanics, as Little Monkey can climb up chains, ropes, and vines. He's pretty slow just climbing up one of these, but you're able to reach over to another one and use them both to climb up faster. But you can't jump off of these because otherwise... yeah, fall damage is back, and it can be bullshit sometimes. Like on stage 2, there's a spring that Little Monkey can jump off of, and when he does and lands on the ground, he doesn't take fall damage and moves on along. But I was trying to use the spring to get onto this little floating platform here, and sometimes I'll just barely clip it and... yeah, that. Anyway, there are 4 stages in this game. There were 4 in the arcade version of the first game as well, but one of them got cut out. Here they managed to fit them all in, which is nice. The first 3 just require you to get to the top where Mario and Big Monkey are, while the final stage sees you sliding what I assume are keys into some keyholes in order to finally free your dad. That is, until the game loops again. That's right, once again Nintendo wants you to repeat the same levels over and over again, with each loop getting harder and adding more enemies. I don't think I really need to go into detail about how the difficulty and game modes work in this game, because it's the same as the last one. I don't think I like this one as much as the original Donkey Kong. At least in that one, the simplicity helps it and makes it pretty replayable, but with this one I'm not as much of a fan of the controls and level design, and it can lead to... hey kids, do you like math?
No.
Well, too bad, because Donkey Kong's gonna teach you in Donkey Kong Jr. Math.
Aw, son, thank you for saving me from that dastardly human.
No problem, Dad. I think as a reward, you should make me and my twin brother that we never talk about do constant math problems for today.
Oh, ho, ho, ho. You think you can get out of math that easily?
Yeah, I'm guessing this was Nintendo's first attempt at what they call edutainment games, and it didn't go over very well. The press hated this game for some reason, but you know, I think I could give it a fair shot. You know those times that math ends up trending on Twitter or something? Especially the ones where they just replace the numbers with pictures? Well, I actually kinda like doing those, so maybe this could be kinda fun. Okay, yeah, I think I get it. I'm basically competing against a pink clone of Little Monkey to do math and get to the number Big Monkey's holding up first. Okay, I think I'm getting the hang of this, and the other monkey isn't moving. Is this supposed to be a 2-player game? Well, this won't work as intended, cause not only do I not have any friends, even if I did have any, I don't think any of them would like to play competitive math with me. I will give Nintendo credit though, they finally did a multiplayer mode where both players are on screen at once. But why did it have to be with a math game? But yeah, like I said before, this mode is just a race to reach the number Big Monkey's holding up first. The player that reaches the number first gets a point, and Big Monkey chooses a new number. Whoever gets 5 points first wins. And that only takes about 3 minutes to do, after which everyone just stares at you in silence for a few seconds before you boot back to the title screen. Fun. Alright, guess I'll see what Calculate B has to offer. Negative 245? Are you fucking kidding me? I mean, we start at negative 150, but still. And it would have taken forever just to get there. I kept accidentally overshooting it, and I had to divide it down to a higher number to get it right, which I couldn't wrap my head around, but then the numbers I wanted wouldn't show up. Yeah, the numbers on the chains are kinda random, and when I was kinda close to the target, but too close that multiplying or dividing would overshoot again, I would have needed to add or subtract to get there. And keep in mind, the game only gives you single digits to work with. I just gave up eventually and went to the final mode, which is the actual single player mode. Basically, you choose what format you want to go with, like adding double-digit numbers, or subtracting 6-digit numbers, no thank you, and the game will give you 10 different equations to do. Each digit of the answer has a chain underneath it, and you just have to jump onto the chain and climb up and down it to change the digit from 0 to 9. Once you're confident in your answer, you'll go to the next chain on your left to input the next digit. You can't go back and change your answer though, so be careful. Once you put a number in all the digits, Little Monkey will fall off the chains, and how he lands will tell you how you did. If you're correct, he flexes his guns, Big Monkey gives you points, and the blade will lay an egg next to the numbered equation you completed. And if you're wrong, you'll die. But not really. The game will give you a chance to change your answer. But even if you do get it right after that, you won't get any points. Also, if you seriously can't figure out what the answer is, you can just push this key into the keyhole and not get any points. Remember, this is the 80s. Participation trophies didn't exist yet. So yeah, that's Little Monkey Math. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but I kinda had a good time with it? I mean, don't get me wrong, Calculate B can suck my neutered dick, and I wish Little Monkey walked faster in the single player mode. But hey, I do enjoy some brain teasers from time to time, even if I'm not good at puzzle games. So, unpopular opinion, this game's alright. B rank. Now we move on to, and I hope I'm pronouncing this right, Gomoku Narabe Renju, our first Japanese exclusive, and the first time we'll be using a fan translation. Actually, I don't think I need one, because it's actually a pretty simple board game-like game based on Gomoku, or 5 in a row. Doesn't mean I know how to play very well. Seriously, I played against the easiest computer. The easiest computer! And I played for 5 rounds, and in all of them I had my ass handed to me. Now I know I said a moment ago that I liked doing brain teasers, but I'm personally no good at game theory. No, not that game theory. I mean, I'm no good at strategizing, thinking ahead. Which is weird because I have social anxiety. I'm always thinking ahead in the worst ways possible. Looking up Gomoku, apparently it's categorized as an abstract strategy game. Well, that makes sense to me because thinking up a strategy for this stuff is abstract to me. Look, I'm sure if you were any good at this stuff, you could find more enjoyment out of it. But you could also just buy a physical Gomoku board and use that. So, unfortunately, since I didn't enjoy myself all that much...
Damn!
Alright, now we got Mahjong. I don't know how to play Mahjong. All I see are some tiles with symbols on them. I assumed you're supposed to get one of each tile, but that doesn't work. So I had to look up how to play Mahjong, and apparently you're supposed to remove tiles from play by matching identical pairs. I thought that was supposed to be in my hand, but that didn't work. I then assumed that I would have to make matches in my discard pile. I assumed this is my discard pile, but that didn't work either. So, I don't know, I just don't understand this. So now Mario finally gets his own game with Mario Bros. This time, Mario had another career change. First he was a carpenter, then an animal tamer, and now a plumber. Geez, his resume is almost as diverse as that of Johnny Sins. But anyway, this time he's down in the sewers of New York to get rid of some pests, such as turtles, angry crabs, and man-sized gnats. Remind me to never go to New York. You do this not by jumping on them like you would in later Mario games, but by first jumping into them from underneath, and then you run into them to kick them to the curb. In each phase, as the game calls them, you defeat up to half a dozen enemies this way before moving on to the next phase, but it can be kinda hard to do this in a number of ways. Firstly, the controls. Not only do you have to commit to jump arcs like in the previous games, but you basically have ice physics. Seriously, Mario slides all over the place like it's plumbers on ice. I know we're in the sewers, but the floors can't be that nasty. Also, apparently if you take too long, fireballs start spawning in, and when there's one last enemy in each phase, they suddenly remember they have a bag of cocaine in their back pocket and take a quick sniff. They also do this when they get back up after being knocked down, so be careful of that. You do have a special power-up right down here to help you throw the Pow Block. Basically a kind of screen nuke that knocks every enemy on their backs. However, you can only use this 3 times per game, so you better hope you don't use this accidentally. Yeah, Finally, every few phases or so you get a bonus round where you have to try and collect 10 coins in a time limit. It's really only there to give you some extra points. And that's the main game. Once again, a pretty simple arcade game where it gets harder as it goes along and you're just trying to get a high score. Once again, on the main menu, there are 2 game modes for the single player, where Game B just starts the game off a little harder, and there's also a 2-player option for these modes which feature the series introduction of Loogie! My beloved. And basically you compete on the same screen to see who can rack up the highest score. But apparently you can push each other around, which could lead to some funny setups. I sure wish I had some friends to play this with though. And yeah, that's all there is to Mario Bros. It can be good multiplayer fun, but the slippery physics make it kinda hard to go back to, honestly. Also, I hope you like seeing the same layout over and over and over again, cause aside from some color changes, every phase looks exactly the same. No exaggerating. So because of all that, I think this game deserves the C rank. Not a very good start, Mario, but I know you'll do better next time. Now we have a Popeye video game, and it's also time for a new segment I like to call Puggy Factoid. Donkey Kong was originally going to be a Popeye game, but Nintendo didn't have the license to do this at the time, so instead they just went and created the most iconic video game characters known to man. Damn, imagine another universe where Nintendo never made Mario. Crazy. Also, Google Docs is recommending that I change that last part to imagine another universe where Nintendo never made Mario crazy, which is pretty funny to me. Maybe MatPat was onto something. Well, eventually they got to make a Popeye game. And do you remember that shitty Popeye game that was on the Switch eShop a few years ago? Yeah, apparently this is the basis for it, so my hopes are high going in. Basically, in each of the 3 levels, I'm starting to notice a pattern, Olive Oil will have something for Popeye to collect, with you advancing to the next level once you have enough. Level 1 has hearts, level 2 music notes, and level 3 letters that spell out help to build a ladder cause you got kidnapped by a boy! There are, well, levels to each level, and you traverse these levels by climbing stairs and ladders. But of course it can't be too easy, cause a big boy wants Olive's heart and will attempt to stop Popeye. Too bad he's a bit of a dunce. I mean, he does a lot. He'll try and hit you from below, jump down on you, grab you with his grabby hands and throw balls at you, but he doesn't exactly beeline after you, so he's not much of a threat. On level 3 though, the Boyd will swoop down after you, so it does add a bit of a challenge. Thankfully, you do have a power-up, Popeye's Trusty Spinach. It will temporarily turn them into the Amazing Hulk and send Big Boy running.
Yeah, get back here, you bastard! You're gonna get what's coming to you! I can't do that.
However, it does stop Oil from throwing stuff, so it just ends up stopping the flow of the game. Anyway, once you finish level 3, Popeye and Olive are reunited, the game plays a nice little tune. Okay, never mind. And repeat after me now. You loop back to the beginning again, but this time it's incrementally harder. And what's added to make this harder? Oh, only a damn witch that drops moving skulls that want to eat you! Popeye be crazy, yo. Finally, I probably shouldn't need to explain what the other game modes do. I think you get the idea. Although I am disappointed that the multiplayer modes go back to taking turns, which is sad, because I would have liked the opportunity to make the other players run into Big Boy, or the Boy! But other than that, I really liked Popeye. In fact, I'd say it's the best game Nintendo released in 1983. I liked trying to maneuver around the enemies and collect stuff before I hit the ocean. So because of that, I think I'm going to give it the A rank. Oh, but I forgot to mention that the witch in Loop 2 Level 2 gets some kind of weird skin condition that she should seriously get checked out. Maybe she could see a witch doctor? Alright, final game time, and it's another Popeye game. Popeye no Eigo Asobi, aka Popeye's English Fun. Or, as this fan translation calls it, Popeye Lingo Game. Did Miyamoto have a crush on Popeye or something? Why are there so many possible games based off of him? And yes, it's another edutainment game. But instead of math, this was teaching young Japanese players English words. Let's start with the word puzzle game mode first. You start by choosing from one of 6 categories, and then you're basically playing hangman. You'll get a Japanese word, and your job is to choose letters to guess the English translation of that word. If you get a letter wrong, Big Boy will knock this baby on a pole further off said pole. And if you get 10 wrong letters, the baby will fall to his doom. Rock-a-bye baby on the pole. If Popeye fucks up, the baby will die. Nah, I'm kidding. Popeye will save the baby. But man, the pressure that a child's life is on the line doesn't help when you're trying to figure out what the word is. I kept winning by a hair almost every time. It also doesn't help that I don't know a lick of Japanese, and if I played without the fan translation and only had katakana to go off of, it definitely wouldn't have helped. Oh, and by the way, if you screw up even one of the 10 puzzles given to you, you get the bad ending, where I assume Olive gets together with Big Boy and Popeye contemplates jumping. Anyway, what could be the difference in difficulty between word puzzle A and B? Well, in word puzzle A, where I chose the animal category, you actually get to see the words the game wants you to translate, while you get no such luck in word puzzle B. And this is the one where I decided to go with the countries category, and I learned that most Japanese names for countries pretty much sound the same as they do in English, so that would have helped me a lot.
Oh no!
And finally, there's Word Catcher, the multiplayer offering for this game. Basically, with player 1 as Popeye and player 2 as Big Boy, you compete to see who can translate 5 words first, as Olive throws letters down to you. And I couldn't get very far in this. Firstly, again, I don't know any Japanese. Secondly, at least in the word puzzles you could blindly guess your way to the correct answer. Here, there's no option for that. Thirdly, if you end up collecting the wrong letter, your collected letters resets. So screw this, and also, screw this game. I didn't like it all that much. I know I'm not the intended audience, this is obviously meant for Japanese children, but I'm not even sure if they would find this fun. And also, I'm not sure if any kids actually learned English from this. Just stick with Duolingo or something. So, that was every Famicom game released in 1983, and honestly, it could have been a better start. These are either just arcade ports where you're meant to play them forever and try to get a high score, or they're just board games you could play physically and would most likely be cheaper to buy that way, or they're entertainment games no one cares about. I mean, I did have my fun with some games, and I'd say they're worth going back to today, but honestly, I'm not super into arcadey high-score games. I prefer games with a bit more meat on their bones. Thankfully, Nintendo's games will eventually start to get bigger and better, so I'm looking forward to that. And I hope you guys are too. Be sure to like and subscribe for more of this series, and let me know what you think of these games down in the comments. With that being said, I've been Marvin, and I'm gonna go take a snooze now. Peace!